Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the mayor of the Deepstone Crypt, tailoring his brand new three-piece suit, Josh Finney.
My three-piece suit right now is basketball shorts, a hoodie, and a shirt.
Nice.
Oh, I got my OJ slippers on too. So, dude, my isotoners. I love these things. This the best Christmas present I've ever gotten are these things.
Yeah.
I promise you. I was not a believer in furry slippers before. I am now.
Furry slippers. I have a pair of furry slippers. Sorry. My microphone is like all weird because my kid turned all the knobs and stuff, and now I don't know if I'm on the right settings or not. That's
fine. I'm going to keep talking about my isotones.
That's fine. You keep talking about your isotones.
For everybody looking at this on video, these are the comfiest motherfucking slip-ons I've ever owned. I'm not a slippers man, but I am now. Nice. I wear these things everywhere. I need to do things around the house, I wear them. My feet get cold on the concrete, I put them on. I need to go to get in my car to go pick up dinner, curbside, I wear them. I need to get out, pump some gas in my car. That's right, I'm wearing them. Only place I feel like I have gone that I have not worn these in the last 2 months since I got them is going to the grocery store.
Why didn't you wear them?
Went to my dad's house,
Josh?
Wore them. Went to go see my mom, wore them.
Why didn't you wear them to the grocery store, Josh?
I have limits for what I will do, Corey. And listen, I'm not going to be one of those people.
Well, that's fair. Josh, I have a question for you.
I have an answer for you.
Would you kill for those slippers?
No. I saw what you tried to do there. No, I would not. They are really comfy. I damn near died laughing when my dad's wife called them OJ slippers last year when she got a pair for my dad. And I was like, what? And she goes, isotoners. That's what they are. He put them on, and then he drove his Bronco. He had the Bronco chase. So when I unwrapped them, my dad, his wife, my stepsister, and Chelsea and I all exclaimed, OJ slippers! My father's wife, her father was there. And he was just horrified at that comment, apparently. He had no idea what was going on. And I was like, this must be what it's like whenever I try talking about social media controversies to my family. I suddenly understood how that guy must feel. Anyways.
Josh, before we actually talk about Destiny, I have another question for you.
What's your second question, Corey?
How are you feeling about this Pokemon Post Malone concert that's supposedly happening?
I hate it. I hate it so much.
This is I don't really understand the crossover.
I don't understand it either. For the 25th anniversary of Pokemon, you picked Post Malone to do a concert with? Really? Really? Of all the people in the world, you picked Post Malone?
That feels like a Fortnite move, not a Pokemon move.
It's like a discount Fortnite move, okay? This is like something that Rogue Shadow Legends would do, I feel. We can't afford Travis Scott, we're going to go get Post Malone 3 years after everybody's done talking about him.
Now his one song still plays on the radio. That came out 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah, sorry. We need Into the Spider-Verse 2 so he can have new music, apparently.
Yeah. Well.
Please do not email us any sort of hate mail if you like Post Malone.
Yes, please. We do not. I do not care at all about Post Malone. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I saw him on an episode of Ghost Adventures once, and I was like, that guy looks weird. And that was it.
Yeah. But no, I hate it. I hate it almost as much as people scalping Happy Meals.
It's fair. I did see that. I'm like,
dude,
why are people...
This is giving me flashback to the Beanie Babies. And yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. But I also remember when they did Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and that wasn't as bad, but it was pretty damn bad having to convince my father to go get multiple Happy Meals instead of an actual meal so that he could satisfy his hunger so that I could get Yu-Gi-Oh cards. He was not an amused man. He was less amused when he found out those cards did not make their way into my deck. I've since informed my girlfriend that we need to go buy Pikachu Happy Meals.
You do. You need to go buy a Happy Meal right now.
No, so okay. I probably will go get some tomorrow because there's not going to be any ice on the road. For reference, in Texas, it's very fucking cold right now. It's cold for Texans, okay?
It's cold anyway. It's what? What did you say? Like 19 degrees there or something?
Yeah, the wind chill right now makes it feel like it's like 13 outside.
It's cold anyway.
It's pretty bad. And it's definitely some of the coldest temperatures I've ever felt in my life. Like, this is probably the coldest day ever, and I'm going to be saying that phrase multiple times over the next few days. Monday, it's supposed to get down to, like, 7, with a wind chill of, like, 0. I've never felt that. I live in Texas, dude. Like, I'm in shorts and isotoners, dude. Like, I wear the isotoners because it got too cold for me to wear my flip-flops. Like, that's just how my life is. This is the first winter in like 7 years that I haven't been wearing flip-flops in. I just don't know how to feel about it. But we went to go get breakfast this morning, and we got Chick-fil-A breakfast. And Corey, you know what happened?
What? What happened?
I paid for my meal, okay? I paid for my meal when I got to the window. And it was like $11, okay? For my meal and for Chelsea's meal. They hand me the 2 drinks in a nice little drink carrier, set them on my side seat. And then they hand me this big-ass plastic bag of food. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand this because I get the chicken scramble bowl with the hash browns in it with the side of hash browns because I get the meal. And then she gets the mini chicken biscuits with hash browns. That should all fit in one bag.
It should.
They gave me a big plastic bag. I didn't think anything of it. I get home, I open it up, and I confirmed that I only paid for my 2 meals. I was given 3 extra combo meals.
What?
I came home with another order of chicken minis, a sausage biscuit. Did you know they make sausage biscuits at Chick-fil-A?
I did.
I did not. I was shocked to find meat in that bag. And then we got a chicken. We got a chicken burrito, which was delicious. I've never had a chicken burrito there, but that with some Chick-fil-A sauce was outstanding. And we got 2 extra sides of hash browns and an order of French fries.
Those waffle fries,
I paid for 2 combo meals and got like 5. We've had 3 meals today of all Chick-fil-A breakfast, and it has been phenomenal.
That's amazing. I wish I could do that.
Dude, God smiled upon me today, and he was like, "You know what? You've been having a cruddy week. You've been feeling a bit down. I'm gonna spice your day up a little bit."
And then I spiced it up even more by sending you that email.
You did. We'll read the email later on in the show.
Very excited. Dude, it's been like you. It's been a interesting week, I would say. Yeah. It's been I'm glad it's Thursday night. Let's just put it that way.
I am too. This is my favorite night of the week, so.
Yeah. So, we are here to talk Destiny, though, Josh. We are here to talk Destiny. You can follow Tower Casuals on Twitter at Tower Casuals. You can email the show at towercasuals@gmail.com. We want to answer your questions. We want you involved in the show. You can join us live on twitch.tv/CoreyandHD. You can listen to the show on whatever podcast service you want because it's there. It's there, Josh. It's there.
It's always there. Baskin Robbins always finds out.
I was adjusting the feed today, the podcast feed. I added our names to it as authors of the show because, it says right there, Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast, and right underneath it says Corey Derrick and Josh Finney.
You love to see it.
I do. This is our show, Josh.
It is. It is, in fact, our show.
Well, Josh, speaking of our show, the TWAB, it's kind of light. But we have a new season. The TWAB is
basically non-existent this week.
I know. It was weird because we've gotten like huge TWABs the last like 3 weeks.
Oh my god, dude. Like the last like 3 or 4 months. I don't feel like we've had a short TWAB in a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull it up real quick just to make sure there's nothing we really need to talk about in there. I do want to pull up the calendar for the season, though, since we're going to discuss the season.
Yeah.
And that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So, yeah, the TWAB is like, it's really like small. I mean, there's some stuff about the like Black History Month and.
I was going to say, I would I would encourage everybody to go read the TWAB. I mean, I think you should do it every week anyways. But there is a section called Black at Bungie on there, and it's relating to the Black Lives Matter pins that they sold last year, the pin and the emblem that you could get in game, and what they're doing with that. Like, all that is going to charity, pretty much confirming that they sold like 40 or 50,000 of these things, I think, at $10 a piece, and all that is going to social justice funds. The Equal Justice Initiative, they donated $425,000 to it, which is awesome. They're going to continue leaving that up there, and of course, you know, every year during Pride Month, they bring the Pride pin back.
Mm-hmm. They always do great charity stuff.
They really do. I love the Bungie Foundation so much. That's why I don't mind buying my Bungie rewards that I earn in game, like my seal pins, my shirts, things like that. Like that money does go completely to the Bungie Foundation, which does a lot of social justice work and a lot of work with children in hospitals. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I like to highlight that. There's some stuff in here about the patch notes. There's a particularly cool little thing about quest details that I did not know about until one of the UI designers pointed it out Tuesday night on Twitter. I actually fired the game back up at like 2 a.m. to check it out when I saw that tweet and couldn't sleep. If you go into your quest log now, I want to make sure what button it is before I go telling you guys. Hover over, for example, you can see it on some quests, like your Cryptolith lore, for example. You can hit Y, and that opens up a subscreen for it. There is now a subscreen on every single quest, but when you hit it on like your exotic quest, the quest goes full screen. It tells you the info, so it shows you the category it's in, shows you your reward, and it fully lays out exactly what you need to do, like in big bold print, in case you can't see it when you're hovering over it. And you can view past and, I believe, future steps. You can see how many steps are going to be in this quest altogether. You can see what you did in the previous ones, etc. That's really cool to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really, really like that. Speaking of change, well, we'll get to other changes. I was going to bring up seasonal challenges. We'll talk about seasonal challenges in just a moment. Let's finish up anything else in this TWAB that we have, which there's not much. I mean, it's a bunch of patch notes, nothing really major, I think, that we need to bring up there. We do have a section in here about the Cosmodrome, though, that I want to address real quickly. I'm actually going to read pretty much everything that the dev team says here, just because I want to set some expectation for what we're actually going to be getting going forward, because I think what's laid out here is a little bit differently than what I had expected and what most players had expected. I actually kind of glossed over this earlier. So dev team, last summer when we revealed the Destiny content vault, the announcement included the reveal the Cosmodrome would be returning, and it would be fleshed out to roughly Destiny 1 Year 1 parity. When we first shared our plans, we were still in early development and uncertain how far we would go with the Cosmodrome Unvault. We were pretty sure it wouldn't include the Plague Lands, but what about locations added in Year 1 DLCs, or the awesome colony ship behind Sepix's lair with the Taken King? What about all of the public patrol spaces? How much of Cosmo would we need in order to accomplish our goals of having a great space to tell the new Guardian origin story while still giving veteran players a big dose of nostalgia via some updates to the strikes? As we approached Beyond Light, it became clear to us we had a choice to make. After returning all 3 of its original strikes, do we invest more time and resources in bringing Cosmodrome to D1 parity, or do we switch our focus to building new experiences for Year 4 and beyond? Given we believed we had achieved our original goals and knowing the community and team's desire for new content, we chose the latter option. But when we made that decision, we failed to properly update your expectations for how far the Cosmodrome experience was going to be extended, and that was a mistake. So to clear things up, with Devil's Lair and Fallen Saber strikes debuting, we do not have any active plans to add more to the Cosmodrome than what is there, and we'll be focusing on new updates overall. We will continue to use the Vault to drive variety in the live game in the future. The Cosmodrome was our first push, and later this year the Vault of Glass will return, and we will share more. This is disappointing to me. I understand the logic here, but the fact that we don't have areas that were in the base game, particularly the Rocket Yard...
Yeah, I was going to say the Rocket Yard is not there yet.
...is fairly frustrating. And I don't know if you can drive back there and patrol, because I haven't tried to do it. I don't know if you could drive back to the area where Fallen Saber starts at. That's not a big complaint to me. Like, yeah, okay, sure, you can't go into the Hive ship or whatever. The fact that unless they stealth updated it this season, which I don't think they did, you can't go to the rocket yard is supremely disappointing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I never had any expectations of the Plague Lands, especially if this is meant to be like Destiny 1. But this does raise a further question for me also of, well, if this is supposed to be the Destiny 1 stuff, then why on earth did you change the Omnigul Strike?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the reskin. I think it makes the strike a bit better, but you couldn't have just kept it as Omnigul? Like,
right.
I feel like that is something that kind of needs to be there if you're doing the new Guardian experience, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
While still giving us nostalgia. I'm going to go ahead and echo what a lot of veteran players already think about the Cosmodrome. I have no need to ever go back there.
Yeah.
That's a fucking shame. That really, like, honestly, that sets my expectations, and not in a good way, on returning to zones that I feel were underused in Destiny 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the Cosmodrome was. I think the Cosmodrome actually was really, really well done in Destiny 1, ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
I understand us not going back to the ship from the Taken King where Cade's stash is.
Yeah.
I get that. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to go there right now. Like, maybe if that had been there, if the Cosmodrome had been here when Forsaken came out, for instance. Oh, you have to go there to retrieve the extra pieces for Ace of Spades.
Right.
That could have been really cool. There is no need for that. I'm not going to sit here and moan and groan about the Rocket Yard too much. Personally, I think it should be there with a new Lost Sector, but that's about all you could really add to that area.
Yeah.
But I think rather what this does is this makes me pretty much go, well, I'm not planning on returning to the Dreadnought then. Like, the Moon, when we got it back, sure, it had some changes overall up top and new zones added, but it was still largely, a lot of it was still the same Moon we knew, just different,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And then underground especially, like, a lot of that stayed the same, and they added a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I set my expectations going forward, and the Cosmodrome kind of nerfed those in a really bad way.
Yeah.
I was because I was kind of wondering that. We got this, and I was like, they promised us full parity, and it's not here. That's weird. Okay, maybe they're holding out, but getting with Vault or something. Like, I don't know. I understand. I want to be really clear. Like, I would rather have new content than to keep revisiting old stuff. I don't want to sit here and moan and groan. Unless you're going to give me the story missions back, I really don't need to go back to these old places. But I do think that still introduces a ripple for how you do Vault of Glass. I know we've all gone, oh, well, you could just have the gate on Nessus or on Europa or something. Like, okay, cool. But there's so many little hints to Venus now that we're going to go back. Like, they're increasing them.
Yeah.
That I feel like you're setting some unrealistic expectations, right? Like, when we went back to Mars, we went to a different area of Mars. Mercury was different than the original lighthouse.
Yeah. It almost feels like, I get that they wanted to bring some nostalgia back, but it's almost like, why did you even bother bringing the Cosmodrome back? You should have just had the new light experience take place in the EDZ somehow, and like, focus on a new zone somewhere else. You know,
I'm gonna defend the decision to bring the Cosmodrome back. Frankly, I do think it works really, really well with the new light experience, especially because the first mission was literally the first mission of the franchise. Yeah. It was so jarring to just be thrown into the Red War attack. Now I sit here and go, oh my god, like, how awesome would that have been you've just done all this stuff in the Cosmodrome, and then you're sent to the tower to go meet up with Zavala, but you end up getting caught up in this Cabal attack is how it would play out for new players. That would be a really cool segue to me.
Yeah.
But the Red War's not there anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's basically what they did before, right? With the new light experience, they just made you play the first mission, and then you went to...
Which was super jarring, though. I'm saying, like, to go from that intro mission where, oh, you just found your first ship straight to the tower.
Yeah.
But it didn't even kick into the campaign. Like, I think it would have been really cool to have loaded into the Homecoming mission at the old tower right away.
Yeah.
I'm still holding out for my dream of having everything from Destiny 1 in here. I think that's becoming increasingly less likely.
Yeah, that's a shame, though. That's such a shame. It's a shame.
It is. I think there's so much that you can do there. Like, if there is one zone that I think is truly going to be brought back, it will be the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one story-wise that really makes a ton of sense. Like, Venus, if you're going to bring it back, you've got to completely overhaul it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I do think they're priming us to have OG Mars back eventually, because otherwise, that's ultimately, I think Earth was a testing ground for that, with the Cosmodrome and with the EDZ. But we've seen how they can update existing patrol zones in existing content, like the EDZ. The whole Hawkmoon area was added, right? And all they had to do was just kick a door down and be like, boom, here you go. Like, awesome. That's cool. And like, some of it is we're reusing an arena from the Strike. But I think ultimately that works. The Cosmodrome really doesn't. Like, there's 2 lost sectors, and unless they're the legendary ones that you need, like, for a specific armor piece, why would you go there?
Right. They
are giving us reasons to go there with the new Battleground coming out next week, which I'm stoked about.
Yeah, but that's
Shahan's the worst vendor in the game. Oh,
dude, he's the worst character in the entire game.
Yeah,
we talk about this weekly.
Congratulations, Soraya. I no longer want to yeet you off the tower. You've earned a reprieve for now. You and Tess have earned a stay.
I mean, I used to go to the Cosmodrome to get my gunsmith bounties done, but it's like it's easier to go to the EDZ.
Oh, dude, you got 3 lost sectors right there in Trostland.
Yeah, so like
it's so much easier to go there. Like, you only have to go into a lost sector. You can just stroll around, pop a few headshots, and you're done.
Yeah, no. It's really hard to find enemies in the Cosmodrome too. It's like, okay, there's that one kind of big box trailer there that you can go down the stairs there and shoot some guys by that giant computer, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll run over here.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think it's going to be hard for them to do anything other than seasonal content there too, because they're a little restricted. Like, canonically, Zavala has closed off access to the Cosmodrome.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know why he's opened it back up now. That's a little weird, but like, Devil's Lair and Fallen Saber seem to be, they're the exact same strikes.
Yeah.
Just with champions added in. And let me tell you, if you haven't done Devil's Lair, it's the Nightfall this week, and it's a fucking blast. But
you still hide in that little room and shoot the spider tank?
Yes. Because now there's like 4 champions and 2 fallen brigs in that big open area.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. It's really fun though, and like, so doing that, because I was still unaware of this until today. I was like, oh, like, this is cool. Like, if you're going to overhaul the content like this, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, sucks. I don't know. I guess set your expectations realistically going forward. When they say they're going to bring back existing content, like strikes, cool. We know they can bring them back 1-for-1 parity. Awesome. Devil's Lair has never felt better. The kick-ass soundtrack is still there. I wish the dialogue was there. Maybe the dialogue is there. My game's just super fucking bugged.
I got a bug the other day where some audio from Saladin and the Helm wasn't coming through.
I've had music cut out. I found that it's an issue, I think, on Xbox with Quick Resume.
That might be
I found when I fully close the game out and open it back up, everything seems to be firing on all cylinders. But if there is supposed to be dialogue in Devil's Lair, I have not gotten it. And I haven't got Fallen Saber, I think, got taken out completely because there's a massive bug with it right now. No pun intended. But I think that's about it for the TWAB, though. We just have that really depressing note in it. There'll be a hotfix on Tuesday, which, okay, not really any major changes there. There's a whole list of known issues. Go read that. I'm not going to sit here and go through those. The last thing is, if you are listening to this when this goes live, Trials is back this weekend. Assuming when you're listening to this, there's no game-breaking bug, which I'm sure there will be one, because there's a piece of loot that I want. One of the new Trials weapons is up this weekend, the Messenger Pulse Rifle. And this bad boy rolls with Desperado, I believe, which is the Redrix's Broadsword perk. And I'm totally here for it. Because I love me a good pulse. It's a 340. It's going to be awesome. I am very, very, very excited. And they emphasize at the end, even if you cannot reach the lighthouse, you can start collecting new gear from wins 3, 5, and 7. And don't forget the weekly bounty that grants the 3 win reward upon completion, which we're assuming that since this is being featured in the TWAB, this will probably be the first bounty drop of the season. So I encourage everybody, go lose your way to a new pulse rifle. Do it. These weapons look beautiful.
I can't wait. I can't wait to actually try Trials this weekend.
Phrases I genuinely never thought I would hear Corey say.
Dude, I want the armor though. As much as I want that pulse rifle, I'm really scared that I don't know if I'm gonna get it. But I'm gonna play Trials all weekend.
I'm curious to see where they start giving the armor away at, because everything goes through 3 wins at some point. It probably won't be the first season, but going into the second season of Trials is when I think everything becomes available at some point for 3 wins. Having that bounty there is just so helpful now. Everyone can go get these. I mean, we saw last year Summoner was one of the best weapons in the entire game. I would argue still may be the best auto rifle in the game. And, I mean, that was a Trials reward, but you had to actually earn it. I can't tell you how many weekends I played hours of Trials trying to just get those 3 wins, because everyone wanted Summoner. And I finally got it. I didn't get it with a role I particularly liked, but it was like, fuck it, I have it. It's still a good gun.
Yeah.
Astral Horizon, I see that get used a lot. Eye of Soul still gets used. I don't think either of those are necessarily best in class, but these are endgame weapons. These are ones they're going to have adept versions. If you're going to have an adept version of a gun, they need to be close to best in class. Especially with these Nightfall weapons. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get Shadow Price. But Corey, what do you say we get in talking about this new expansion?
Yeah, let's talk about the expansion. I could drool over this Titan armor all day, but because we finally got good armor. Titans.
Right?
Trials.
So, Season of the Chosen, when it opens up, it goes right out of Season of the Hunt, which Season of the Hunt really didn't have a whole lot of narrative tissue to the rest of the story, and we're seeing little bits of it kind of seep in here in regards to Crow. Crow is in the city now.
Yeah, he's wearing that mask.
He's wearing his COVID mask. He is hanging out in the Helm, which is the new Vanguard operations area. And the season opens up with a cutscene of Zavala and Osiris meeting with Callus's daughter, Keitel. Now, Keitel was somebody she got one of Callus's shadows to come work for her, and sent that shadow to steal the 4th Horseman out of Zavala's office as a test during Season of the Worthy last year. And Callus helped us hunt down the Scions that had it. We took it back, etc. This is definitely much more narratively cohesive than that, and I would say it's a much better intro to the season. You may not have as exciting of a mission, but as going to save Osiris, but I think narratively right off the bat, it's better than last season.
Oh, yeah.
At least the intro to it is. It remains to be seen if we're going to get a story beat as good as the Crow or as good as the Hawkmoon stuff.
Well, I think once there's going to be some point in the middle of the season where Zavala finds out who Crow really is, right?
I think it's going to be towards the end of the season. I think it's going to be at the end of Guardian Games is when he's going to find out. I think that's going to be what drives us into the summer.
Well, in the trailer, though, they showed them going to get the sword from Keitel, though, right? Or
yeah.
Whatever. You think that happens at the end of the season?
It very well could. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. This is one of the first seasons in a while where I'm sitting here going, I really don't know, how predictable this is going to be, because the appearance of Lord Saladin,
oh god,
back
thank God,
the narrative content threw all of us for a loop. Nobody expected that, and he is ruthless.
Yeah.
We have never seen this side of the Salad Man before.
I mean, we saw a little bit in Rise of Iron.
We saw a little bit, but he didn't even talk about Siva this way. But he is pissed about how we aligned with Rasputin and this and that, and woo! When he finds out who Crow is, we may have a problem.
Yeah, that's gonna be
I'm more concerned for him finding out who Crow is, because he already doesn't believe in the Vanguard.
Right.
He already thinks the Vanguard has gone astray by letting people wield the darkness.
Yeah.
That he is just... I feel like he's about to snap. If I could get a cutscene of him, Zavala, and the Drifter fighting each other all at once with Shaxx having to break it up, that would just be like... I feel like that's the closest thing you can get to like safe for work Destiny porn.
I feel like if if they were all like fighting each other and Shaxx just did like a striker pound right in the middle of them and blew them away like Avengers style, right?
He's gonna wear the new Thunder Crash exotic.
Yeah. By the way, it looks cool though.
It's really cool. And then like out of those cutscenes, you get tossed into the battleground for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
They present it to you as an actual mission, which I really liked.
Yeah.
Battlegrounds. So we have 2 of them. We know we're getting 4 this season. One of them we're getting next week, and then the other one, I want to pull the calendar up real quick.
I had it up, and I'm like, you know what? I accidentally exited out of it.
I did too. I thought I was done with Bungie.net after the TWAB. And then I remember the whole reason we pulled up the TWAB was to have the calendar. So I've got it pulled up. So we're getting the one in the Cosmodrome next week, and then it looks like we're getting a second one on Nessus after that. Which presumably is going to lead into the new strike.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Because when you end the first one, it's right there at the tank.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't go in. And we know that the strike goes live on March 23rd. So yeah, we're going to get the Cleansing Battleground in the Cosmodrome on the 16th, and then we're getting the Oracle one on the 23rd of February, which, again, we're assuming is on Nessus.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Proving Ground strike will go live on March 23rd, which that can't be the final story beat of the season, though, because that's only a month and a half in. That's only halfway. So something else is still to come, because, I mean, they have Iron Banner on here like 4 fucking times.
I mean, we talked a little bit about it last week, right? Where, like, there's like a month where there's nothing happening.
That has pretty much, thanks to data mining, pretty much all but confirmed that is going to be where the exotic quest is. And, you know, because we don't discuss leaks on the show, we're not going to go into details about that until Bungie's ready to talk about it.
Right.
But I'm very excited. It's like a lot of us were speculating last week, is going to tie into that the little freeze frame that we see of the ship and the Scorn at the end of the seasonal trailer. I'm here for it. If you want to give me a quest like that each season, like, because I consider Harbinger to be a mini dungeon.
Right.
If you want to give me something like that, like it's almost like a non-timed whisper mission, which I really like. If you want to give me stuff like that to do each season, and then you keep that around for a whole year before you go and sunset it, cool, I'm here for it. I really like that idea.
Yeah.
I will gladly go through things like that. I would rather be earning my exotics than have them handed to me in Ingrams. Although at a certain point, it does start making Xur pretty much useless for legacy players.
Yeah.
AKA us. Unless you are starting a new character and you need the exotics for that character, it's pretty much useless. Or you just like he happens to have like a 66 stat roll of something that you really like, or, you know, you're going to use your exotic cipher to try and get a random roll of something.
Right.
It's pretty much useless. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I do think Xur needs to have something there for the legacy players. I can't tell you the last time I was excited to go see Xur.
Right.
It was probably like a year and a half ago when I was doing Season of the Drifter stuff. And I was finishing up Drifter's whole storyline, which for whatever reason was given to me through Xur. I don't know. There's so many things you could do, I feel. But how they're handling the exotics lately has been a big thrill to me. You know, you get one in the season pass, and there's usually 2 that are quest related.
Right.
I am hoping that the Proving Hammer that you use in the Battlegrounds becomes an exotic at the end of the season.
I feel like it has to, right? Like, I feel like that...
Because they said future balances for swords and other exotics.
Yeah. And
they talked about the sword nerfs. And I feel like a Warhammer or a giant battle axe has to be the next new weapon type you introduce.
It's got to be this hammer, because I'm sure it has the same animation as like remember the battle axes you got in Rise of Iron for like I feel like it'll have a similar animation, or like the Striker Titans animation, right? Like, or the Sunbreaker Titans animation, right? Like, and
dude, the way that you swing this is exactly like you swing Big Hammer.
Yeah. So like for me, I feel like this gets me excited because I feel like we're gonna get another Iron Lord style thing in the future where maybe you wield that battle axe, which was awesome, and this gives me those vibes all the way. So
I like it a lot. I don't know. Like, there's so much in this season, I think, to digest right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, that's without even going into the new stasis abilities, which I will probably save that for next week.
Yeah.
Aside from, if you are a warlock, you need to go get yours ASAP because you get a fucking turret out of it, and it's a godsend in endgame activities already.
Yeah, I'm like, geez, you get a turret? Man, the warlocks are just like...
Dude, y'all get a shoulder bash that reaches like 50 feet.
As if they already didn't have like a sniper melee.
Dude, it's so much worse now. I've died to it so many times in the Crucible already in 2 days. But so you have all that. I feel like the Helm, though. Like, so let's talk about Helm and like what goes into before you launch a battleground.
Yeah.
I feel like this has to be a semi-permanent area.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't put it. I don't think they would put you in first person in there if it wasn't.
Yeah, so that's my first thing is you're in first person. Your super is charging when you're in there. Like, am I gonna have to fight like through waves of robots to get Crow out of there at some point? Or...
Yeah, this is definitely a start of something, and I feel like maybe you have to make your way out of there with, like I feel like this is something like Homecoming is going to happen with this, where like you go. I bet you fight your way out of there at some point, and at some point you'll see other Guardians there. You know what I mean? Like, remember in the Homecoming mission when you would go and like you went into the big open area of the tower and Zavala was there with the bubble.
You were fighting alongside Zavala with other Guardians,
which was awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is the coolest. Even in when you come back to take down Gaul, when you're running through the city, you're with other Guardians.
Yeah,
storming the city. Like, I want the beginning of the beginning of the Shadowkeep campaign.
Yeah.
Like, that's the shit I want to see more of in the story.
Yeah.
Is us with other Guardians.
I feel like this is definitely the start of something that's like, okay, because like that there's clearly a door. It
almost has to be.
Like if you turn around from the Umbral engram decoder or whatever, you turn around, there's clearly a door there that's probably going to open at some point.
There's several doors hidden all around there. There's 2 staircases that go down.
Yeah.
And you have a vault there, and you have a postmaster there. Like,
and
we didn't even get where have we ever had a postmaster other than the tower?
Right.
Like, the farm?
Yeah. I mean, you look out. If you look out the windows,
be a complete dud like the farm, then.
I mean, if you look out the windows, you're clearly in some sort of. It looks like the tower, like when you go down in the tower where like the future war cult and them were sitting. Like it looks like a landing zone for ships. Like it looks like a landing zone. It's like, are we gonna have to like escape?
This is built into the old tower.
Yeah.
Like if this is the beginning of us going back into that tower, like, and I know we seem to say this every season, like this is the time, this is the season, we're going back to the old tower. But I feel like this is probably like this is either evidence for us going back there or that we're never going back there, and this is going to be where we start gathering everybody at.
Yeah.
Which would be just like, how convenient would it be? Like, we have that, and like, oh, you go out the steps down to the shipyard for your ship, and like Drifter is hanging out like on a staircase down that way or something. Mm-hmm. But Ikora and Zavala and I don't know, Tess are all hanging out up in, because you got to keep the money shop open, right? Like Rahul is up there, or so, playing around with the Umbral decoder.
I have a question. I have a question for you.
What is your question, Corey?
Do you think that they're going to destroy the tower this year, and maybe we get a brand new social space when the Witch Queen rolls around?
I think they're gonna. If they destroy the tower, they're going to destroy the entire city.
Yeah, I feel like that's coming.
Can't just take out the tower again.
I feel like that's coming.
I do too. I think that's going to be one inescapable part of Elsie's story. that we talked about with her visions, and I mean we're gonna go back to those today in Lore Corner.
Yeah.
To address the lore on the Raid Ghost, but you look at that every single time that she did that mission, regardless of what happened, the tower was always attacked, and it was always destroyed, and it was by a mix of Cabal and Hive and Fallen. The Fallen were led by Aramis and the Dark Guardians. Well, we know we've averted that. For now, we've averted that. I still don't think Aramis's story is done.
I don't either.
But for right
just kind
now,
of left her frozen.
Yeah, we left her frozen, which was really weird. Like, we didn't think to throw the body off or something,
right? Or smash
it like everything else.
Yeah,
it's very weird. Let me take the hammer of proving over there and just beat the shit out of her with it. So we know as of right now, tentatively, the Fallen Assault is done. We think we're holding off the Cabal one right now, so that really leaves the Hive, who end up ultimately, they're led by Savathun, but Savathun is really Eris, and I think that's more of a fun nod to what the fans were speculating than anything else. But at the same time, it wouldn't exactly shock me. Savathun is the god of trickery, the god of cunning, the Hive god of cunning and whatnot. Just like Xivu Arath is war. If her and Xivu Arath are finally working together again after eons of being split apart, then the city is fucked.
Yeah.
There is no way. They better unvault the farm real fast.
Yeah.
But my personal thought is that the Helm would detach from the tower or something.
You think it's gonna be like an Avengers style helicarrier that just lifts out of the tower?
Yep. Because the War Table, I think, is a great storytelling device for seasonal players or players who are not always hanging out in the tower.
Speaking of Avengers, it reminds me of the War Table from the Avengers.
It does. It does. I like it a lot. I like that, we've had Saladin speak to us through it already. I believe we've had Crow speak to us through it. Zavala has. There's so many opportunities there, I feel, for our bit players. I mean, Anna Bray can send us a message now because she's not hanging out anywhere. Osiris can. What the fuck's he doing right now? He's just hanging out in the tower. We talked about Ikora last week.
Yeah.
It's just I think there's a lot of opportunity there. But when it comes to the actual Hammer of Proving and the Battlegrounds event, this hammer is confusing as fuck.
Yeah. I was like, it said equip the hammer. I had to go look up. I'm like, how do you equip this thing? And it said, oh, well, if you already have the quest, it's already equipped. And it's you just have to collect Cabal Gold. I'm like, okay, well, how do I collect Cabal Gold? And I had to click through 2 menus to see you just get Cabal Gold by doing your weekly stuff. And I'm like, oh.
So you have that.
I was going to go do that anyway.
You have to slot your mods, which costs Cabal Gold to do, and you only have one medallion at first. Okay? And you can make other ones by going to the table. The table, you only get those new charges by increasing your reputation. But doing Battlegrounds does not increase your rep. Which makes no sense.
Which is the whole point of the season is why is the one main activity you want people to do not increase your rep at the table?
You increase your rep. The only way I have found so far, maybe they're waiting until all 4 are in that playlist. I mean, I could be just an idiot for sitting here doing it as much as I have. The only way I have been able to figure out to do it is there are 3 seasonal challenges that award you a medium level of rank at the War Table. And each of those was enough to increase my rank 1 time. So I was able to buy 3 or 4 mods for my hammer. And, I mean, that's cool. You eventually unlock new mods. The more of those slots you unlock, you can make and create new mods and whatnot. I don't know if there's any particular strategy we want to be going for in those, but you can do that. Your hammer charges are what you use for not only opening the chests in the Battlegrounds, to my understanding, but it's also for you spend your charges in order to decrypt your Umbral Ingrams, which I think is kind of cool. You can't just sit there and spam them like you did in Season of Arrivals. You actually have to kind of think these out, and they're not inundating you with all these. They're not overloading us. You're you kind of have to be a little picky here, and it's you look at it and it goes, okay, well, I'm clearly only going to pick weapons from this particular season.
Right.
And, like, you have to unlock your upgrades by using those types of weapons, which I think is also good. Like, you want to narrow it down, you better go suffer with some of the shittier versions of these weapons first off.
Right.
Like, I'm currently trying to at least get to the one where I can get a guarantee of a bow or a sniper, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get 2,100 kills to guarantee it. Not just guarantee a bow or a sniper, but to guarantee it with a third perk on it. Like, that's where they get you is, it's kind of easy to get that second row done if you just play naturally with different kinds of weapons and abilities.
Right.
But to get that third row with those extra perks and those guaranteed high stats, that's what you have to do. And this is a seasonal mechanic designed to keep you playing.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. That at least is kind of organic. I'm not going to have to go out of my way unless it's something like a bow that I don't really use. And I'm not going to get 2,000 sniper kills.
Right.
But I wish those upgrades would stick around for longer than a season if I'm going to kill myself to do this. And I mean, to be clear, like, Helm is going to stick around, right? Mm-hmm. It's a seasonal content thing. It's going to be around until at least the end of Beyond. Like, that's my understanding is these seasons aren't sticking around for a full calendar year. Rather, they're only sticking around until Witch Queen comes out.
Right.
Which is both good and bad.
Yeah. I thought they were going to stick around for a whole year. I mean,
I did too.
That's what it sounded like at the beginning, at least.
Yeah, my understanding is that that's not the case, but maybe I just have interpreted it wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. This adds to the confusion, though, and we actually got a question about that this week in our Discord. We were asked if we would break down and if we would discuss the new season, and why the hell is the activity confusing as heck. The actual activity of Battlegrounds, I think, is really fun. It's like a mini strike.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it.
I enjoy it. Now, I don't know if it's going to hold up after I've done it 30 times.
Right. I think if they switch up the map enough, it might,
Yeah, there's going to be 4 of them in the rotation, so I think that's cool. It has its own little playlist in the Vanguard section with those newly redesigned beautiful UIs, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like that and the changes to the vendor screens. It's all around a much crisper look. Like, it feels more MMO-ish. And I feel like this is how it should have been from the get-go. But hey, there's nothing like hitting your stride in year 6, right? I say that jokingly, but I'm also dead-ass serious.
I know. It's funny because it's true.
Year 6 or 7, we're finally getting these quality of life changes we didn't know we needed.
Man, you know that old saying, Josh, it's funny because it's true.
It's funny because laugh because it hurts. But I like the Battlegrounds overall. I'm sure there's going to be a heroic version of these at some point because you already have champions in there, and the champions, like, they're not overwhelming. There's no darkness zones in these. This is clearly something that they intend for everybody to jump in and do. And the fact that they force you to do one right off the bat, I think is great because there's different methods you have to take to do these, right? So, like, in the first one, when you're on Nessus, you start out and you have to get the access codes.
Right.
Well, then you get to the second area and you throw the balls and blow the generators up. And then you continue on to the boss area. When you do the Europa one, you start out, you're chucking the balls at the generators, and then the rest of it is pretty much just combat. There's nothing else you're really doing. Like, it's a lot more firefighting, though, which, again, I like. Like, it's a blast. This is every seasonal activity should be a good place to go do bounties at. I'm just going to say it. I felt the same way about Vex Offensive. Like, yeah, this activity is kind of boring, but hey, I can run through it in under 10 minutes, and I can get, like, 10 bounties done at a time while I'm in here. I love this. I'm going to get my pass maxed out, and then once I have it maxed out and I've done my triumphs for the title, I'm out of here. I don't have to touch this ever again.
Right.
But it's still there in case you get nostalgic later on in the year and you need a place to go grind out some quick bounties. So the overall activity is cool. The hammer system and the war table system, as we've addressed, is bullshit. I'm already over it because they don't tell you how to get rep. The fact that the daily bounties don't give you any rep towards it is mind-boggling. The activity doesn't give you any towards it. Also mind-boggling. that should not be locked behind just doing seasonal challenges. You can't tell us that stuff is optional and then be like, well, you have to do all of them for Battlegrounds in order to upgrade your stuff all the way. That's not cool.
Yeah, it's not.
You're really going to make an artificial grind, because like, if that's the case, I'll do the new Battleground when they each come out, but I'm going to wait like 3 or 4 weeks before I do any more on the playlist to stack up all those challenges to go and do.
Yeah.
At once. Like, because I guarantee you they're not going to backfill your progress on challenges.
Right.
But speaking of new things, though, let's shift over to seasonal challenges, because this is something that's going to be sticking around.
Yeah.
Corey, how do you feel about seasonal challenges?
Have
you done any?
Yeah, I think I've gotten 2 done. I mean, they're pretty easy ones. But like I think they're cool. I haven't really been paying attention to them. Honestly, I've been trying to figure out this fucking hammer system, to be honest with you. But like I've almost got like, I'm part way to most of them, honestly. I finished Lenses and Focus, which is the participate in the Battlegrounds playlist, unlock your first lens. So, I mean, I think they're cool. Like I think they're neat things for people who are maybe grinding out bounties, and they're like, oh, well, I might as well just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But I don't think it's like I gotta go do this, before the season ends. I feel like
this is stuff that as they pile up, you're going to be doing them without realizing it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel like.
I think that's kind of meant to be passive. Like, this is something that definitely feels like it's more geared towards the people who only play 1 character as opposed to 3.
Yeah.
Because, especially with the Bright Dust, right? Because we know that we can get like 10,000 or so Bright Dust through the challenges. That's including the pile of 4,000 you're going to get at the end of the season if you do enough challenges.
Right.
Which we know now is 75.
Right.
It is, I believe, and this, again, this is a data mine, so we're going to take this with a grain of salt. I believe it was data mined that there are 77 challenges in total for the season. Mm-hmm. So you can skip 2, and it's presumed that that's going to be the one for Trials of Osiris and the one for Grandmasters.
Right.
That you could skip both of those and still be able to get the big pile of Bright Dust at the end.
Right.
I like that you get actual rewards from these, though. So the first one, Contender's Ascent, when you go and do that, you have to do the intro quest, Challenger's Proving, which sort of teaches you how to do everything. And then you have to get 75 rocket launchers on Cabal. On Cabal throughout the system. Once you do that, you are given you're given a roll of the new rocket launcher. You're not given an XP boost. I believe you get the first page of a lore book, and you get a metric fuck ton of XP.
Yeah.
I went up a full level, I think, just from doing that one, and that's after my weekly bonus had run out.
Yeah.
But that, you've got 3 up there that give you the Golden Reaper, the Lenses of Focus, and Crash and Converge. All give you seasonal rep and a lot of XP, and then I think literally all the rest give you Bright Dust.
Yeah.
Bright Dust and XP. Mm-hmm. And it's varying amounts. Like most of them are hovering around 50 or 75, and that's still not too bad, because this is stuff I'd be doing anyways. Like the Fallen Combatants and Strikes, I got that done halfway through a Nightfall.
Yeah.
My first Nightfall of the week. I got that done. Awesome. I got free Bright Dust just for hanging out in here, and I'm already doing Bright Dust bounties on top of that, and I'm going to go collect my extra weekly 120 from Zavala when I turn in all of his bounties.
Yeah.
The amount at which they're giving you the Bright Dust, it seems like a lot to us because we play 1 character. Like, believe it or not, there's still people in this community complaining about the Bright Dust. And it's just... I don't know how to make this any easier for y'all at this point. Like, they are pretty much just handing it to you and saying, listen, you don't have to play all 3 if you don't want to play all 3.
Right.
There are going to be some incentives to doing it. Like, you want to go raid on all 3 characters every week? Cool. You're going to get chances at Eyes of Tomorrow, but you're also going to get, in the secret chests each week, you're going to get a chance to get endgame materials. So to get prisms and golf balls. That's awesome. That is what should be happening in these. And that's in every raid now.
Right.
They retroactively added it the last Wish and Garden of Salvation. That's awesome. You can go get free endgame materials every week. Why the hell wouldn't you do that?
Right. Yeah.
So I really like the seasonal challenge system personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I'm going to seek out and do unless I'm like really close to something. I'm like, oh, well, I can check the seasonal challenge stuff and see if I'm close to any of them and kind of
I would like to say that I'm not the kind of person who's going to do that, but
But you are. You get Bright Dust, so you know you're going to do it.
I am. We're jokingly on the road to 100K, as we've said before, but also I like to have extra things to chase. So the only thing that's missing from this for me is I can't track a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really frustrating. Even tracking a triumph doesn't pull it up on my HUD, which I really wish it would.
Yeah.
So I'm not having to like constantly go into the menu, tab over. Like this is even worse. You gotta pull out your menu, you got tab over, you gotta click on another menu, then you gotta highlight, and then you gotta get back to combat.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of this is just meant to be stuff you're doing kind of absent-mindedly as the season goes on.
Oh yeah.
Hence why they're gonna stop the challenges in week 10, and then you've got 3 or 4 weeks to wrap them up.
Yeah.
So like I imagine the Grandmaster one will be introduced probably the week that Grandmasters go live, so that way, hey, it's there. Likewise, I'm shocked the Trials one isn't here right off the bat, honestly.
Yeah.
I imagine they'll probably wait and throw the Trials one in there on the weekend when, like, or they're just not doing it now because they know there's a chance they may have to disable it or something.
Yeah.
But they're going to want to throw it out there on the weekend when everyone goes to play it because, like, a piece of armor is up or something. Yeah. Or, like, there's a must-have weapon in the meta that we got to go get. This overall, though, like, I really, really like this. And they've said that it's not just going to be Bright Dust that'll be tied to those. So I imagine there'll be some nice cosmetics. I've already, I've gotten a weapon out of it, like I said. Like, that top left one, if that's going to be a weapon every week, I'm here for it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited. I mean, I could even see them like, oh, this is for Grandmaster or something. Complete a Grandmaster, and boom, you get a random roll of one of the you're guaranteed an adept version of a Grandmaster weapon and an adept mod if any are left.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that for Trials, like win a couple matches, like win this many matches in Trials across the season, and you're guaranteed this weapon, or like you're guaranteed some cosmetic or something related to Trials. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like Trials shaders, like I could see them doing something like that. This is what we want. Like we want more things to chase. We were talking about this last season, how much we liked that Season of the Hunt did that. For all its faults, there were a lot of things you could earn cosmetically from that, from the Solstice, from Dawning.
Yeah.
And from Arrivals. Like these are things that need to keep happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
So, and do we have any more thoughts on vendor overhauls? I
like the vendor overhauls, man. They look good. I like the rep stuff. I'm glad I don't have to keep tokens. Like
Are the rewards that because you can preview all the rewards? Is that satisfying?
Yes.
For you?
Yes.
How that's done?
Because you can see like, okay, well,
guaranteed your priming.
I can work towards this. I can see how close I am to other things. Like I like it. I like it.
So you get for anyone who doesn't know, you get a Prime Engram for your first rank up, and that happens every time you reset. You'll get a Prime Engram when you're like 2 or 3 levels in.
Mm-hmm.
There is one that gives you. Oh God, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm just trying to remember. I know that the final reward for both Drifter and Shax.
I have Shax's lined up right here.
Okay. So tell me in order what those rewards are, just because I can't remember off the top of my head.
So the Prime Engram requires you to rank up once. Okay. Rank 4 is 3 upgrade modules. Then you get 3 enhancement cores at 7. You get the shader at 10. You get 2 enhancement prisms at 13, the emblem at 16, and then when you complete rank 16 and reset, you get the Ascendant Shard. And then I think that Ascendant Shard changes into something else, right?
The Ascendant Shard becomes a exotic engram for every reset after the first one. So you're limited to one each season from the vendors.
Right.
But we already know they're changing Zavala to this next season. That's 3 golf balls you can earn right there. You get another 2 or 3 from the season pass.
Yeah, but aren't they doing something with enhancement prisms too? Like, because you don't get the Ascendant Shard, don't you get an extra prism?
Possibly. I think
we talked about this. Maybe
I'd have to go
ago.
back to a past TWAB. We'll clarify it next week. Just because I don't want to go digging through Bungie.net right this second. I think the enhancement prisms change to enhancement cores after you claim them the first time.
Yeah.
But also, so while you're doing this, you're still earning your weekly Prime Engram from Shaxx. If you do from Shaxx and Drifter, if you do 8 bounties for you are still, every time you rank up, there is still a legendary Engram waiting for you back there. The rank up screen no longer takes up your entire fucking orbit screen. It's off to the side, off to the right hand side where you get your rewards at from the end of a match. And I really like that. It's really nice, crisp, concise. It's what you want. I'll guarantee you these legendary Engrams are probably going to sit here until the end of the season.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to pick them up from Shaxx every 5 seconds I turn around. Like, we're 2 days in and I'm ranked 7 in the Crucible already. Like, I'm not picking up things that are 15 below my power right now. I'll deal with that when I've hit the max cap, and these things are probably dropping at my cap.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I still really like that. I like that there's a special shader for each. You get upgrade modules. I think you get the upgrade module every time.
Here, okay, I found the TWAB with this.
You found it. You found it, okay.
Rewards for each individual ritual are as follows. Okay, so rank 4, you get the 3 upgrade modules. That stays the same. 7, you get 3 enhancement cores. That stays the same. Rank 10, seasonal ritual shader. After resetting your rank, you receive 3 enhancement cores after resetting your rank. So you get more enhancement cores. 13 is 2 enhancement prisms, which stays the same. 16, after resetting your rank, you would get the emblem, but after you reset the rank, you get 2 more enhancement prisms. And then the reset reward is an Ascendant Shard, which changes to an exotic engram after resetting your rank.
So you are getting a generous amount of prisms every season.
Dude, that's gonna encourage me to play Crucible or actually grind out some of this stuff.
Because that's 4 prisms that they're giving you every reset.
Yeah.
From both activities.
4 prisms and 6 enhancement cores too.
Yeah, I mean the enhancement cores I feel like are much easier to come by, especially since we can still go get those from Spider. Mm-hmm. But the prisms are pricey.
Yeah.
Right?
They're the prisms are 10 enhancement cores, and then each Ascendant Shard is 10 prisms.
I'm maxed out on prisms. I spent a lot of my now expired materials at the gunsmith last season.
Yeah.
Trying to get that, and I probably should have masterworked some legendary armor to use up some more, honestly, and just kept buying them.
Mm-hmm.
But the Spider really needs a liaison in the tower. That's all I'm going to say. I need a Guardian ATM or something. I was running out of Glimmer like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, Spider needs someone in the tower.
I really, 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 really liked what they do about the new systems, though. I think it looks clean. It looks nice. It's
legible.
It's legible. You can actually see in real time what you're working towards.
Yeah.
I'm about to hit rank 7. Excuse me. I'm just like a smidge out.
Mm-hmm.
It's about to touch the Engram. Like, I need to finish 1 bounty and I'll probably be there. So I'm gonna get my 3 enhancement cores. So I'm thrilled about that. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
But you got this on top of the ghost mods now that allow you, like, when you get a headshot in the Crucible or in a strike or in Gambit, if you have the proper mod on your ghost, you have a chance to earn an upgrade module or to earn cores or to earn prisms. Like, there aren't many more avenues they can do in terms of giving them away.
Right.
In like the holiday activities, they throw them in the engrams and in the presents and stuff. They give them for achieving certain things. Like we got a core at Christmas, right? Or a shard at Christmas. We got an Ascendant Shard at Christmas or enhancement shark, whatever the fuck you want to call it at this point. It's a golf ball. It's a golf ball as far as I'm concerned. And so you got all that stuff, and that's awesome. Like, you can't really give that many more away, and you get several from the season pass as it is. Like, I'm sitting here going, like, who is masterworking this much armor all the time every single season?
Right.
I have my set that's going to stay good for a year. I may have to do like 1 or 2 random pieces because I really need like that particular elemental affinity, or like, oh, I got a really kick-ass roll on this new exotic that has a really good stat roll. Like, it's got like a natural 68 or something.
Yeah.
Like, I got to go masterwork this right away because the masterwork in exotic takes 3 golf balls. Yeah. That's a lot.
It is.
I haven't upgraded my Celestial Nighthawk purely because of that, but now that we're going to get so many extra this season, and not counting into next season when they redo Zavala, I'm more inclined to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have any more on this before we quickly move on to some of the weapons we've got?
No, I do not have anything else to say. This is if you're gonna grind a season, this is the season to start grinding, because this is a
really good jumping back in point, I feel.
Yeah, if you didn't jump in with Beyond Light specifically, I feel like if you're gonna jump back in and like play seriously, this is the time. So, all right, you want to talk about some of the weapons?
I'm going to go over some of the weapons really quickly. We'll do a more deeper dive into them next week when we've been able to get a few rolls instead of just like 1 roll for each of these. The big one I want to talk about the bow.
Yeah.
The exotic bow, Tiku's Divination. I want to talk about that. I'm affectionately starting to call it Bowden. Since it fires homing arrows. And this is a really cool bow. So if you fire zoomed in, which we usually do when we use bows, and you get it's a tracking headshot. If you get a headshot, they explode. So it's basically built-in dragonfly. Right. But it's a big explosion. It takes out a lot of things. It damages a lot of things. It was really great against things with solar shields.
Yeah.
And then if you fire it hip fire, though, it fires 3 arrows. So I think what you're intended to do is to fire the headshot and then quickly swap over to firing the 3 burst, because the 3 burst also zooms.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really cool bow that I think is going to take a lot of getting used to, but I expect this to be a pretty heavy PvP favorite.
Right.
But I think also, like, more so, like, Trinity Ghoul has really been the only like go-to bow ever for PvE activity.
Yeah.
And with that, even you had to have the catalyst finished.
Yeah.
Now it's, this actually fucking rocks in PvE. I want to play with it more, but I'm really, really digging it so far. I actually want to go grind out the catalyst, because I think the catalyst is going to make it ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah,
I had a chance to play around with it, Corey.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it in the battlegrounds because I had a bow bounty for.
It's a great place to try them out at.
Yeah, I had a bow bounty that I needed to finish, and it's cool. I've never used bows before. Like I used them a little bit when they were like showing them off, and I'm like, oh man, a cool bow. Let's put a bow in a gun game. That sounds cool. And I like tried them out for a little. I'm like, I'm not sure. And then, like, when Trinity Ghoul came out, I was like, yeah, I mean, I see it. But, it's just, I never really used bows before. Sorry, I'm getting all kinds of weird notifications because I have Destiny on. People are inviting me to parties because I'm trying to look up the weapons that we got. And it's like, stop, guys.
Right.
But, yeah, this bow is cool. Playing around with it and just like taking Cabal headshots, and the 3-shot thing is cool. It's just a cool weapon. Like, it's really cool. I really think people should check it out. Even if you're not into bows, at least try it out because it's cool.
Yeah, I really, really encourage you. Like, if you don't like bows, this may be what sways you. This and the seasonal bow are swaying me. So I got the Imperial Needle to drop last night with Archer's Tempo, which, if you don't know, draw time decreases after every precision hit, and it rolled with the new perk Frenzy, which is being in combat for an extended time increases damage, handling, and reload for this weapon until you are out of combat.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really dig this weapon. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. But just, my God, I don't know. Like, I'm not a very big fan of bows, but these two are doing it for me. I'm really enjoying playing around with them this season. I mean, I know we're only a couple days in. I have 3 other picks that I've gotten a chance to play around with so far that I like. I really like the sniper on the season. I think the sniper is a really, really fun one to use. My apologies, I don't have my exact roll pulled up, but it also has Frenzy on it.
What's the bow for the season?
Imperial Needle.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to...
No, you're good. I'm sitting here looking for my sniper real fast, and I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Far Future. Far Future is what we have. Mine has quick draw and Frenzy on it. I really, really like it. And then I have another one with moving target and multi-kill clip. So I'm playing around with both of those, really enjoying them. I got one of the new weapons that can drop from doing the activities. So we knew that 6 new weapons were being added, 2 each to Vanguard Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit. And the Crucible has gotten a sniper and I think a sidearm is what they've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
The Gambit has gotten a 120 hand cannon and a fusion rifle. I got the fusion to drop yesterday. Haven't had a chance to try it though. I got it late last night. Well after you'd gotten off, actually. It was about midnight my time probably when I got it. And then Vanguard, I don't know what the second weapon is for the Vanguard, but I did get the first, which is Third Axiom, and it's a pulse rifle. It's a 390 pulse. And guys, if you know anything about me, you should know that I really, really, really like pulse rifles.
Can I ask you something real quick?
You can ask me anything.
I know the weapons have different archetypes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say it's a 390 pulse, what does that mean exactly?
So that's the RPM. That's the rounds per minute. How fast it's firing, essentially.
Okay.
It's like you don't always want a higher RPM because usually higher RPM will mean something like, oh, it's going to be lower damage.
Right. Yeah,
it might be slower, or it'll be rapid fire, but you got to land every single hit for it to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like, for example, this is an adaptive frame. So it says the framework underneath it, and then it'll give you, that's an intrinsic trait that'll be listed on the weapon.
Right.
So like an adaptive frame, well-rounded grip, reliable, and sturdy. So it's kind of like your run-of-the-mill pulse or a scout or something like that. I like this one a lot because I have I slap targeting adjuster on it. I have light mag, Genesis, and Dragonfly. I like Dragonfly on anything that requires precision hits. It lets me know I actually did the thing.
I love Dragonfly.
And Genesis isn't exactly my favorite thing, but I like this for match game because breaking a combatant shield with this weapon fills its magazine from reserves. Energy weapons regenerate ammo on hit when matching the damage type to the combatant's shield. So I really, really, really like that for Nightfalls, for instance, and in any sort of like PvE activity, dungeons, raids, etc. So this is an arc one. I'm excited to try this out in some of those. I took it into Gambit yesterday, and yeah, it was fantastic. I played around with it in the Crucible. I'm looking for another really solid pulse since I had to put up my beloved Blast Furnace when Beyond Light came out. This may just be the one to do it for me. I was not a fan of the Europa one, but I really, really like this. I like Stars and Shadow.
You didn't like the Europa one? The Hailing Confusion?
Not a fan.
I liked it. I used it.
For whatever reason, not a fan. Maybe I just never got a roll that I liked.
Yeah.
But speaking of rolls that I do like, Extraordinary Rendition, the kinetic submachine gun for the season. It's an aggressive frame, so high damage but high recoil. So if you can like really get that stability, slap a stability mod on it, and I don't know, maybe get a stability perk on it. This thing is still like, it's not kicking very much. There's not a ton of recoil for me. Maybe I'm just so used to using SMGs now that I'm trying to keep it balanced. But I got this one to roll with Frenzy and with Overflow. So picking up special or heavy ammo reloads this weapon beyond normal capacity. I got it with Accurized rounds, which increases the range pretty significantly. I can also switch that over to steady rounds if I need to. And then I have a corkscrew rifling or a hammer forged. I really like this. It's got a reload masterwork. It's been fun so far. This is I was talking with our friend Nerd Generalist. I think he and I are both in agreement that this is going to be part of our loadouts for the rest of the season. Like, we like it that much.
You said this was a submachine gun?
This is a primary submachine gun. Yeah.
I'm taking notes. I want to know what look, man, I'm trying to like. So, side tangent, real quick. I guess not really a side tangent, but like, ever since I just decided to do stuff on kind of like my own, away from the stuff that we were doing beforehand, like I've been really like focusing on a lot of Destiny stuff, and I really am like wanting to get back into Destiny like super hardcore, like I was 2, 3, 4 years ago, right? Like I really want to just figure out what these weapons were. So I'm just taking notes. I want to look for these weapons. I want to make sure I'm grinding correctly and grinding to my play style, but also like, oh, this gun's good, I should probably get it and use it in certain situations. So that's all the that's my side tangent.
I'm really digging a lot of the weapons here. There are, if you include all the adept weapons, there's like 40 different weapons I think to get this season.
Which is a big change from what we had last season, right? Like I think, wasn't that the big complaint was like, oh, there's not enough weapons to grind.
Well, so that number definitely includes the reissued weapons for the Moon and for the Dreaming City. But even if you remove those 8, I still feel like
32 weapons
30s is still pretty acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I like it. You've got several new armor sets, even if 2 of them look just god awful.
I hate this new armor set, though.
I hate the ones that are tied to the season pass. I don't like the seasonal set. I don't like the ornaments, but the Eververse set is really cool. It's very similar to the set that we got for Season of the Undying in the Eververse.
Speaking of Eververse, did you see the Season of the Chosen starter bundle with the ghost with the little...
I did the helmet. Top Gun ghost.
I want it so bad.
That's what I keep calling it, is the Top Gun ghost.
I want it so bad.
I was like, I needed to play Danger Zone when I pull it out, though.
That'd be awesome.
Oh my god, speaking of ghosts, how refreshing is it that we have not heard a single line of dialogue out of our ghost so far?
Is it refreshing?
It's very
Ghost.
refreshing. I'm annoyed. I don't like that Ghost narrates everything to us. I would prefer to hear it from the characters or to hear our Guardian speak.
Yeah, I mean I like the Ghost to be like a secondary character in terms of
if our Guardian was like bantering with Ghost, or they actually talk to them outside of like one cutscene and expansion, then I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
But I would much rather hear other characters talking to us rather than Ghost being like, we've got a transmission from Saladin. He wants us to do this, this, and this. It's like, nah, Ghost decided to take a fucking vacation and a chill pill finally.
Yeah.
They got him a Snickers after the Beyond Light campaign because he was so obnoxious.
That was so funny, though. It's his rendition of the Drifter was still the best part of the whole season.
That was great. Just like him overall in the campaign is just unbearable, though.
Yeah.
Guardian, I don't like that we're using the darkness. Well, then shut the fuck up and leave, because we're all tired of you.
Except when I die, please revive me.
Yeah, right? Then get your Bippy back here. Corey, do you have any weapons that you've used so far that are new to this season that you are enjoying?
I mean, I haven't really used a lot of the new weapons, but I did find... Hold on, let me get to my... Gosh, I'm so backwards right now. I did find... What did I find here? I mean, I've been using the bow a lot, right? Like, I've been using it. I think this came last season, but I've been using the Sub-Zero Salvo for just the events and stuff, and I'm liking it. I have been getting a lot of good armor rolls, actually, which is weird for me.
I've gotten quite generous with them.
I rolled a base 66 chest armor, which was pretty cool, except it's the Wild Hunt plate, and it's ugly as hell, but...
I mean, you can slap an ornament on that bad boy.
I know. So I'm gonna grind that out and see what I can get for it. Like try to work to a masterwork for that. I found a base 68 leg armor, which is cool. The hold fast greaves from the last expansion, or season of arrivals, I guess it would be. I'm somehow getting all these really good rolls. I got a base 63 helmet, the Torabottle celebration mask, the one that looks like a lion head. That's pretty cool. So like I've gotten good rolls on armor. I just I need to start grinding out some of these weapons. I've only played about 6 or 7 hours of this expansion trying to figure some stuff out.
They're definitely not shoving the weapons down your throat yet, which is nice.
Yeah.
And like whenever I turn to my umbrals, I'm literally only like if I focus them, I'm only focusing them for these weapons. What I really, really want is this rocket launcher, which I have a roll of the rocket launcher, but I want it with the new perk. And this new perk, if you don't know what it does, it's called Lasting Impression. Rockets attach on impact and detonate after a delay. Increases blast radius and damage.
Mm-hmm. What?
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me and my friend were talking about that at work today, and it's like, man, that's just like, it's gross. Like, because you can reload and shoot another thing out before the clusters.
This thing one phases Taniks.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
It one phases Taniks now.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, if there's anything that I'm going to focus, if I have to do like a tier 3 focus only for rocket launchers, I'm going to do it until I get this exact roll. I'll spend like 50 engrams and all my hammer charges and glimmer and shit if I need to. Because, oh my god.
Yeah.
I want that so badly. I want that with tracking. Like, that seems to be the god roll. Get that with tracking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh my god, like, I think it was our friend Johnny who was talking last night, like, you can use that to set traps in the Crucible or in Gambit or whatever. Like, yeah, bring it on. I love it. Like, it's not going to look like it detonates at first and then give it a second and it's going to detonate.
Yeah.
And it just does absurd amounts of damage.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
So, we're going to refrain from talking about the new seasonal exotics until we actually get our hands on them. Because, I mean, I honestly didn't even bother to go get Mask of Bacchus yet from last season, so I should probably get that too.
Yeah.
I've just been too lazy to, and I definitely want to get this new Hunter chest piece.
I want to get all this new armor, dude. Like, I know we were talking about the Trials stuff.
Chest piece, Yeets are back on the menu.
Yes.
Yeets one phase Atrax now.
Yes. Thank God.
I don't know if you saw Glad's video. He posted a video earlier today of the Atrax encounter. 5 of them were all wearing the new chest piece.
Uh-huh.
They thunder crashed Atrax and took all of his health out down to final stand.
Yeah.
And then they all figured out where the final one was, and their last guy who had not thunder crashed yet got over there with them, and he thunder crashed Atrax by himself.
Wow.
And killed him.
That's...
like, basically, one thunder crash can take out like 15 to 20% of Atrax's health.
That's amazing.
That's disgusting.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
It's incredible. I could not believe what I was seeing. That was almost as bad as seeing the Taniks fight with everybody using lasting impression.
Yeah.
So, I love it. I'm all for builds like this, especially things like Code Duello is not going to be a valuable strategy 3 seasons from now because either rockets are going to be nerfed again or that weapon's going to be phased out.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be sunsets. So let us enjoy this while it's broken as fuck.
Yeah. Please let us.
Please let me enjoy this while it's super broken.
Yes, please. Please.
But Corey, we have. Do we want to do the question first? Do we want to do our email question, or do we want to do Lore Corner first?
Let's do our question first. I like ending on Lore Corner. I feel like that's a good way to close out the show. So let's answer our email first.
I agree. I've got it pulled up right here on my screen. If I click into the correct message. Okay, so this comes from Guardian Jacker, one of our new listeners. So much. He says, "Hey Guardians, recently found the show and I'm really digging it. You guys have an insane passion for Destiny and I'm all here for it. I also like that you seem to include casual Guardians in your show and really make us all feel truly welcome."
Whoa. Sorry.
First off, thank you for the kind words. That's Corey and I's intention. That's been the intention since the beginning. We're two guys who just love playing this game. And, we've all been a kindergarten at some point, right?
Yeah.
We've
all been there.
Corey's learned about weapon archetypes right now, so.
Yeah. So, look, this show is kind of positioned where, secretly, I'm just learning from Josh because Josh is super hardcore and I love Destiny, but, don't look at. I don't have the time to look up stuff. So I'm this is really just secretly just getting information from Josh.
It's not. It's a team effort here. It's a team effort.
Go team.
He says. So first off, the first half of your email really made my day. This is the one I was referring to earlier. Now for my question regarding expansions. Would you rather see something along the lines of the Taken King, Forsaken, and Beyond Light, where you tell big stories with overwhelmingly residual consequences with the seasonal content, telling smaller stories like Rise of Iron, Warmind, or Season of Arrivals? Thanks for the awesome content, and I'll be listening weekly. Corey, I'm going to let you take this one first.
I kind of think that the overall expansion should be telling a bigger story, right? It should be that should be the big story of the year, right? Is we're moving the story forward in big ways. Obviously the seasonal stuff is going to tell little stories within the bigger story. But I kind of like he brought up Rise of Iron. I really liked Rise of Iron because it told this weird kind of side story about the Iron Lords. And I kind of feel like that would fit in a season now, Yeah. Like a second or third season in an expansion type thing.
I could see that almost being split into two seasons, a season 3 and 4 almost.
Mm-hmm. I would actually put those in the middle season because I feel like you need that last season to kind of lead into the next expansion.
You're right, especially if you're going to go with the new approach of everything's going to be around for the whole calendar year.
Yeah.
Give people time to enjoy it if they dipped out for a season or two. They see that and oh my god, I got to come back in the final season and play this. I just got to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I would like to see I would like to see smaller stories within Destiny kind of explored. I'm all for the bigger stories and I don't think there's really been anything bigger than the Taken King at this point, right? In terms of just you're literally fighting a god and he's,
Yeah, I think as far as consequences for the universe and the overall story, I think each one of them has had a major consequence. Each of our major expansions, outside of Rise of Iron, I would say I don't think Rise of Iron really has one, even though it's billed as a major expansion.
Mm-hmm. You trapped Siva from leaving the Cosmodrome, and that's why it's quarantined at the beginning of the 2, right?
I guess,
sort of.
But as far as everything else is concerned, you look at Taken King, and that's when Oryx is coming for revenge for killing his son. He unleashes the Taken upon the system, who still have not left the system, by the way, 5 years later. Mm-hmm. We have to literally board his ship. We kill him. We're introduced to the Ascendant Realm for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we understand is the Ascendant Realm. We unknowingly went into it for the first time in Crota's End,
mm-hmm.
right? But then you have to go in and you have to slay him in his actual... And you slay him in the Ascendant Plane, jumping back and forth and whatnot. You kill him in orbit around Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
Forsaken has the death of Cade 6,
mm-hmm.
which is massive. And we are exposed to the Dreaming City. The curse is unleashed upon the Dreaming City. We still haven't resolved that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Shadowkeep. Shadowkeep, I would argue, didn't have a whole lot of consequences either, except for the fucking pyramid.
Right.
The introduction of the Pyramid of the Darkness, ending that first arc that began in the Red War for Destiny 2 kind of culminates in Shadowkeep, but Shadowkeep's also a jumping off point for what comes next in Beyond Light. Beyond Light, I mean, you wield the darkness. I'd say that's probably the second most consequential.
Yeah.
Sure, we're still dealing with the fallout of Cade Six's death, but and I feel like that storyline's finally reaching its conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as expansions go, they should have consequences. I mean, you look at the consequences in Warmind and Curse of Osiris, and the Dark Below, and Dark Below you kill Crota, so that's not really a good comparison. House of Wolves, those are smaller, more self-contained stories that I feel like would be seasons now.
Mm-hmm.
But weren't at the time, and for better or worse, they've gone ahead and revamped it. My ideal seasonal content, I think. So for expansions, I want something as big as Taken King again.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Beyond Light's probably the closest you got to that.
Yeah, I feel like Witch Queen is I feel like a lot of people are setting the expectation that the Witch Queen is going to be the next Taken King, right? I feel like that, but also
I feel like it kind of has to be.
Yeah.
In terms of narrative, we may very well get the Hive storyline most of the way finished off, or at least if it's not finished, it's going to be thrown to the back burner for quite a while.
Right.
Because Savathun's been building up for all of Destiny 2 at this point, especially since Forsaken came out. She is secretly behind everything in Forsaken.
Right.
She's behind Uldren's corruption. She's behind the taking of Riven. We found out she is commanding the legions of Taken.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just that's mind-boggling. She's got the Dreaming City stuck in a murder battery, essentially.
Yeah.
And we covered this in one of our first lore corners. And so when we talk about smaller expansions, even the smaller stories are starting to have consequences. Jacker, you point out Arrivals. Arrivals is a great prologue to Beyond Light, and honestly, had Beyond Light not been delayed for 2 months, would have been a perfect prologue, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't have been drawn out for 5 months. It would have been a short, crisp 2.5 to 3 months. That would have been excellent to have finished the Nokris content and gone straight into it.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been awesome, especially because you deal with Xivu Arath right away.
Right.
As soon as you boot it up and you go do the Season of the Hunt stuff, boom, right there. I don't think there's too much more you can ask for in a season than what we got with Arrivals. I hesitate to call Black Armory and Menagerie and all that. I hesitate to call those seasons, but I guess they really are when you look at it.
Yeah.
I would say probably the best seasons that they've done are Arrivals and Opulence.
Yeah.
And because they have the whole year to really build on that, and they start looking at some of the feedback and going, okay, this is what we're going to tweak. I can't believe I'm saying this in hindsight. Had they tweaked a few things in Black Armory would not have been that bad.
Yeah.
It had a great weapon selection, great armor, fun raid, cool exotics. Exotics, they're still being used a ton today.
Right.
Jotun still terrorizes the Crucible, mainly from me, and Anarchy is still a go-to boss DPS.
Right.
But then you have something like Joker's Wild, which is structured completely around Gambit, which nobody liked.
Right.
And around a Reckoning. So I think it's trying to find a delicate balance. And I feel like, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun too much here, I think this season is going to be one of those that kind of straddles that line between, okay, we're getting some major story beats in these stories, but if you just care about the overarching story, you don't have to be involved in the individual seasons. That's for the completionists. That's for the hardcore players who live here, who want to just keep living in this universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
The big stories should move it forward for the general public. My Name is Vife had a great suggestion earlier this week that he thinks every single season should start out with a previously on Destiny segment, which shows what happened in the previous season.
Yeah.
Just so you're aware.
I feel like that should just be implemented in a menu anyway, where you can go back.
About having a theater, right?
Yeah.
All of our previous cutscenes, and then show have just seasonal recaps in there.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to explain it to some of my friends, and I don't want to tell them, hey, go watch a 45-minute Bife video. Nobody wants to do that to enjoy an ongoing game with their friends, right? But you still want to know what's going on.
Right.
It's easier than us trying to haphazardly explain things that happened 2-3 years ago.
Right.
Especially for those who missed the content in Destiny 1, right?
Right.
I want those Grimoire cards to be readable in here. I want those lore pieces readable in this game.
Right.
I want that read. I want all the lore in the game readable. If you want to be a completionist to go read it, you can. I think all the cutscenes need to be in there. That's why I'm such a big advocate for all the strikes and all the raids to be in here, for condensed story modes to be in here. So if you're going forward, I actually would like to see a reduction in seasons going forward. If I can answer your question a little bit differently than you may be expecting, Jacker, I would like seasons with consequences. I would like to go from 4 seasons down to 3 seasons a year.
Mm-hmm.
To have those seasons be a bit longer, but to have more important story beats. Hell, I would almost be willing to go down to 2 mini expansions a year with a big one also, back to the expansion pass model, right?
Right.
But they got to be like twice as big as Warmind was if you're going to do that.
Yeah, and I don't...
The problem with that, I think, is drip feeding content over like a 4 or 5 month span.
Right.
As we saw with Arrivals, even when things are delayed, like drip feeding can really kill the momentum of a fledgling game. Like Arrivals is what brought so many of us back to Destiny.
Yeah, it brought me back, right?
Season of the Word sucked. Like I think Season of the Dawn, from a narrative perspective, for a narrative, you want to cross between the events of Arrivals, which really feels like a prologue and almost feels essential to play, right?
Right.
To Season of Dawn, which isn't exactly essential, but had the absolute best storytelling content we've gotten of any season in Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
Of any mini seasonal content we've gotten. And I'm going to include Warmind and Curse of Osiris in there. Dawn is the best we've gotten because you literally say fucking Saint 14. Like, that's expansion level shit. That's
right.
Beyond light level important. And that's in a season. I hate that new players cannot come and play this. Like, I had a friend who came back after a year. He's like, wait, Saint 14 is alive? And I was like, oh, yeah, dude. By the way, you know that guy we always read about in Destiny 1 and you've worn his helmet literally the entire franchise? Guess what? He's alive. He's alive now. And you missed the content because you took a year off.
Mm-hmm.
That should never happen.
No.
Even only leaving that stuff in there for a year, I feel like when it's something as major as that, you're really risking players not understanding. We've discussed that so many times.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've had to go back and be like, because like I didn't really take time off of Destiny, but like it wasn't the main game I was playing for a while. You know what I mean? Like I would check in like once a week or whatever, and I can't.
We're meant to be able to dip from this game, and they've made it easier than ever now.
Yeah, but like I had to go back and be like, wait, what's happening? Why are these characters here? You know, like I've done that several times. You know, and it's like I wish I could just turn on the game and be like, oh, okay, this is where this happened or whatever. You know,
it gets really old.
Yeah.
So I think that's all I've got for the answer there. Jacker, I really hope that answered your question accurately.
Yeah. I do want another Taken King style event, though, where like we have to... And I feel like that's coming next expansion, right?
I feel like the next 2 expansions, them letting us know what's coming down the line is one of the smartest things Bungie's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Letting us know, like, oh, we're not just announcing Beyond Light, we're announcing the entire story arc. Mm-hmm. You're getting the Witch Queen, and we're going to start laying the seeds of that now. And we've seen that start playing out, right? Like, Season of the Hunt deals with Savathun and Xivu Arath. This doesn't necessarily, but it does in a way because Kaido wants us to form an alliance to fight the Hive.
Mm-hmm.
She likely knows what's coming.
Mm-hmm. Or has like some sort of idea, you know? Like,
yeah, I mean, all she needs is to get a whiff of what the Crown of Sorrow nearly did to the Leviathan.
Right.
To know what Savathun's power is. She needs to take one look at the Dreaming City to know what's going on and stuff like that. And then you've got Lightfall beyond that, which is, they made it really clear, is still a tentative title. Like, I expect, obviously we're going to hear more about Witch Queen this summer. I expect to hear a little bit about the plans for Lightfall as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that the main releases are doing good. I like those big ones. I look forward to those. Those are my most anticipated thing almost every single year over year.
Yeah.
And have been. With the exception of Rise of Iron, they have been since the Taken King.
Yeah.
Even all the times I swore this game off, I never got this excited for seasons or for the expansion passes before now. Now I'm engaged in the ongoing story. I have reasons to play this game all year round. When Taken King came out, I played it hardcore for about 2 months, and then I dipped until Rise of Iron came out.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, I finished Rise of Iron. I dipped until the following summer when I started playing to get ready for Destiny 2.
Right.
Like, I would only play this game for a month or two out of the year, even like Forsaken coming out. I've talked about this. Forsaken was my make or break points. You know, for anybody who's new to this show, I played one day of Curse of Osiris. I played a couple weeks of Warmind. I didn't really dig either one of them. Escalation Protocol is what kept me interested, and my pursuit of the Icolos weapons.
I think I played the the campaigns, whatever if you want to call those campaigns of Osiris and Warmind,
mm-hmm.
and I dipped. Right? Like, and Escalation Protocol towards the end, I heard about, obviously heard about the shotgun that's you can get in the Prophecy Dungeon now. And my friend Mitch was like, hey, come play Destiny with me. I'm like, okay, I haven't played in a while, just letting you know. He's like, it's cool. We can do this Escalation Protocol thing, and we can, try to get these weapons or whatever. And that's what brought me back. And then I played the Forsaken campaign, and I, dipped in and out during those seasons. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Josh. Like, there have been points in this franchise history I'm just like, man, I don't know if I even want to play Destiny anymore, at this point. And
I thankfully have not said that probably since Curse of Osiris. Curse of Osiris is the last time, really, the reveal of Forsaken. I was like, okay, Forsaken's the last chance. If it's not good, I'm done. I still dipped after Forsaken for a bit, came back to a little bit of Black Armory, dipped again for all of Joker's Wild. Since Opulence, though, it's been a steady stream of I'm playing this game all the time. Like, thank God Arrivals lasted as long as it did, because I took a much needed 2.5 month major break from this game. I even took a lot of time off during Season of the Hunt.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, I got everything done, and I tuned back in for the events. We do Reset Tuesdays over on my Twitch channel, but I didn't feel the need to be there every single week. With the weekly bounties being taken away, I feel like it's easier than ever for me to jump in and out and still play other social games with my friends. We're going to move to our last thing of the night, which is Lore Corner. We've already gone. This is our longest show in a while. I'm going to move to Lore Corner real fast.
All right, cool.
We have two pieces tonight that we're going to read, assuming that I can find the second one. I have since misplaced it. The first one is off of No Love Lost, which is the exotic ghost shell from the Deepstone Crypt. You get it if you find all of the logs, the audio logs in it. And in it, I'm living the definition of insanity, repeating myself over and over, hoping something will change, but I know it's coming. Blood and betrayal. I've learned not to be fooled anymore. In any other circumstance, this mission would be hopeless and I a failure. Yet every time I come to that bitter end, I see a glimmer of who she was in her eyes. I know she's in there. I know that if I can keep her out of this, shield her from this world, I can save her. I can stop the madness. At least that's what I tell myself these days. I thought I would grow numb, going through the motions. I'm not. It's always painful. Sometimes I'm so angry at her for putting me in this position. There are times when I want to end it all as soon as she finds me, take her out and turn over in my cot, hoping this is all a dream, save us all the trouble and heartbreak. But then we get there and I see that look in her eyes, the one that tells me she's sorry, and I have to try again. Then there were times I was weak, gave in, hoping it would change the outcome. I thought it might save the world if we were a family again. It didn't. I couldn't live with the choices I'd make. Then I'm right back where I started. This time I know what to do. The Vanguard has been keeping secrets. I was foolish to take them at face value. Clandestine missions to Mars and beyond. Realms outside the boundaries of time. The Black Garden, they call it. Darkness lives inside, beating and pulsing. I believe it is the source of our misery. I'll see to its destruction, and I won't have to kill my sister ever again. So this goes back to the time loop we were talking about with Elsie.
Right.
The Traveler has pretty much supernaturally placed her into a time loop that every time that she basically gets the complete utter destruction of humanity, it's her versus her sister, and she can't change the outcome. We have the first confirmation that when we complete the Beyond Light campaign, that we have altered that future for the first time.
Yep.
In some way. She still doesn't know if it's changed for good, but for right now, us not falling to the darkness is the first domino. Right? And her teaming up with us to take out the Blackguard in Destiny 1, that's what we're referencing here. This takes place before Destiny 1, is my assumption. Is when this lore is placed at, because she recruits us and says, like, that's the source of everything. If we can get to that and destroy it, if we can destroy the heart at it, we can change the future. And she says as much in Beyond Light. Like, I thought destroying the Black Garden was it. It wasn't. It was just the beginning. Yeah. We still kept going down this path, and so she teams back up with us again. I eventually want to figure out who's in that ship that she's talking to when they exfil her from the moon. Yeah. She tells them to kill the engines. I strongly suspect that it's us from the future, that we've traveled back through time, maybe during Lightfall. Yeah. I think that I still think that parts of this dark future are going to play out, right? The fall of the tower, like we talked about it. We just talked about it tonight. I think that is a fully realistic thing. I think we have to leave this solar system behind if we're truly going to get the end. And hey, if it all ends in us resetting the timeline, it ends in us resetting the timeline. Like, you know, but we know that time loops are an established part of this continuity now, not just with her. Savathun with the Dreaming City cycle, like that's a very minuscule version of what Elsie is stuck in.
What if Lightfall, and you learn about the time loop and everything, and you actually travel back in time with the stranger, and that's how they like reset Destiny, and you can get, like, they bring in all the old content and stuff, but they alter it. They alter it a little bit. You know what I mean?
I would be almost thrilled for that to happen. There's very clearly still some stuff that's going to happen there.
I just feel like that would be like the jumping on point where, like, okay, we're finally bringing in all the content from Destiny 1 that you like, bringing back all the stuff from Destiny 2, but we're going to change things so maybe veteran players don't expect certain things, right? Because you changed the timeline. So now certain things aren't going to happen, or certain things change.
I still think that we're going to fuck up and accidentally save Cade at some point, and that's going to completely ruin everything to come. Yeah. The next piece that we're going to read, though, is kind of a drastic shift in the opposite direction. I'm not really sure what this first... So there's two sections to this. This is for Radiant Accipiter, which is the exotic ship you can get from the Crow after the Hawkmoon mission. If you run it multiple times, you get enough feathers, you get the ship that Crow found. And we find out during it, this is not the ship that Crow left us at all. Crow goes, that's not my ship. It's been transformed by the light, like Hawkmoon. And it's a shiny chrome ship with feathers on it. It's very Hawkmoon-esque. You see him and all... Oh, excuse me. That's not the beginning. So Amanda Holliday has something at the beginning. She says, a Paracoozle ship. That's a new one. No navigation system, no controls, no computer on account of it responding directly to your thoughts. Not much to tinker with under the hood, mostly because there's no hood. Freedom is chain. Choice is a prison. You see him and all he wishes for is confirmation of that fact. But to do so would invoke something far worse than justification. You'd feel his hand reaching inside of you, grasping for your heart and tearing it free for himself. You know the pain he will cause. One last act of defiance to break your shackles, exerting the strength you had been slowly gathering all this time. Physical chains break, but chains of causality are not so fragile, even for you. You see him and he is satisfied. Then he is gone. Your roar of defiance echoes into the infinite. You know they will witness. It is only a matter of time. I am the last speaker. During the long years I have held this title, I also held out hope that my peers still remain somewhere in this world or others. But that hope, like this title, has been taken from me. I composed these thoughts on the eve of what may well be my passing, within the cold walls of a prison, so dark and suffocating, not my private chambers. They are my last words, but perhaps my most important. My captor desires knowledge, understanding, a clarity that even I have been denied by the traveler. He does not understand how hard it is to communicate. Doesn't care to. He would take rather than have the patience to be given. He asks me to make the traveler see him, speak to him, but he does not understand. I cannot make the traveler do anything. I can only listen and repeat. He does not wish to listen to the warnings, or to me. He does not wish to believe that he will be reduced to memory. Fail. I have seen it. I have seen so many things. Before that shackle was put around the traveler, it cried out to me. It showed me a broken mask repaired by gold on fracture seams. Everything I needed to see a lifetime of service rewarded. I do not need to be afraid, speaker, any longer. There is no need for fear. That time has passed. Of us, of my peers, of our order. In the time to come, to make a choice, the traveler will speak freely. To those who will, the dangers to come. And those who know will listen. They are not forgotten. Speakers, for our time has passed. A new age is dawning, and I wish I would live to see it. I am the last speaker, and I am at peace. Now we're going to reread this a little, because the way this is divided up is very interesting. You may notice we kind of jumped around a little bit in there. It's garbled a bit. There's a pattern to it. And I'm trying to find where we need to start. So we're going to start with one of the last paragraphs. And how this plays out to me is, he does not wish to believe that he will fail. I have seen it. I have seen so many things. Before that shackle was put around the traveler, it cried out to me. It showed me everything I needed to see. A lifetime of service rewarded. I do not need to be the speaker any longer. There is no need of us, of my peers, of our order. In the time to come, the traveler will speak freely. Those who listen will know, and those who know will listen. They are not speakers, for our time has passed. A new age is dawning, and I wish I would live to see it. I am the last speaker, and I am at peace. And then the next one. So basically, he has two separate lines of thought. He has two or three, maybe even three separate lines of thoughts here. They can all be interpreted differently. But he essentially says, like, the traveler never spoke to the speaker. It only speaks to him, though, in those last minutes before his death. Well, really the last night before his death, as he says here, on the eve of his death. A lifetime of service rewarded. And I think it's really interesting what he says there, when he says that the speakers are no more. They're of an ancient order that is going to cease to exist. Because we were talking the last couple of weeks about how, one of the theories is that Crow is going to become the new speaker. I think this puts a nail in that. Rather, us and the Crow are the first of a new order that the Traveler speaks to directly. The Traveler's, for lack of a better terminology, the Traveler's chosen. And like the sidearm. So the sidearm is interesting because when you read the lore on the sidearm, it's Savathun's thoughts towards Zavala. And it's almost the inverse. It's like almost like she's like the avatar for the darkness in a lot of ways, and Crow and ourselves are like the avatars of the light almost. And it's just very curious that Uldren Sov, of all people, is raised and hears from the Traveler within like a year of his resurrection. Much like we saw visions from the Traveler almost right away. The Traveler, of course, leads us out of the city. We follow the Hawk to the EDZ, and we're following the Hawk again and whatnot. We are the ones who awaken the Traveler at the end of the Red War. It's just all these other things that like we were at the cosmic center of it, and it's cool knowing that we're not the only one now, that the Crow also gets that. There's been suspicions that Ikora may have been spoken to by the Traveler in the past, but nobody else has in living memory. If anybody else has, it would have been Osiris, I feel. And this just adds another wrinkle. I think this ship is just it's so prudent to read it like that, and it's just so different, I guess you'd say. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, I do too. I think that the Crow becoming the next speaker is really interesting because it's going to piss a lot of people off, especially when they figure out who he is.
So I don't even think it's that. I think it's the fact that he's going to be able to prove that he's heard from the Traveler.
Yeah. And
I think the speaker, so this is one of the only wise things the speaker's ever said. Like, we haven't had something from the speaker in years. And it's fitting that we're getting it now, that we're getting messages directly from the Traveler and saving the shard of the Traveler from Savathun. and Crow is helping us do that. We're taking on the High Celibate together and everything else. And that somehow this knowledge has been passed on to us through by the Traveler, by the light of the Speaker's final thoughts, that the Speaker did finally hear from the Traveler, but it was in death.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lifetime of servitude and of faithfulness to the light. Even though he didn't speak, he still imparted messages to his best interpretation. You almost have to wonder if Zavala and Ikora are going to get a moment like that over the next couple of expansions.
One of them has to.
Especially from what we know of the Dark Future. Ikora dies every time.
Mm-hmm.
Zavala dies every time.
Mm-hmm.
We know Zavala's faith is completely shaken, whereas Ikora goes down with a tower. She's crushed underneath it. And you have to wonder, is it going to be the same for them? Are they going to hear also the Traveler in those final moments or not?
Mm-hmm.
And you would think they almost have to, like them, Osiris, Saint 14. Like, you have to wonder if so many of these key characters we've come to know and love, is Crow going to be the one to kind of lead everybody back to the Traveler in a lot of ways? Like, is he going to be the anchor of light?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that I want to keep an eye on throughout this season, with him continuing to be more and more involved in the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's helping narrate the seasonal content in this too, like he did in Season of the Hunt. He has an explicit role, like Osiris has given him to Saladin to work for. Saladin's going to be one of those guys who's going to be insanely pissed when he finds out about who the Crow is.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect Ikora will be too. Ironically, I think Zavala and Saint will be the two who go, we need to listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
We have to.
Mm-hmm.
We have to listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Saint.
Mm-hmm.
Saint is one of those, like, he also doesn't feel like he belongs. He's a man literally out of time.
Right.
And he's back, though. He's still struggling to find his place here. Who better to serve underneath a new Vanguard than with Crow at its head and, you know, say Zavala, or, you know. But even what if we do away with the Vanguard by the time of Lightfall at this point? I think this brings up an interesting point, you know. A new order of light bearers, essentially. You know, the consensus expands, and what if instead of the Vanguard, it's the consensus, but we get rid of things like, you know, we canonically get rid of Dead Orbit and the new monarchy and the future Warcult. And it's just like basically humanity's strongest light bearers who are leaders, and the most revered ones, like the ones who have actually heard from the Traveler.
Right.
I do think it sets up something interesting, that all faithful light bearers will eventually hear from the Traveler.
Yeah.
Possibly. Who knows? Like, you know, right now they're using it sparingly. What if in Lightfall that's the final message of the Traveler? Like, there's so much speculation now that we've read this one piece of lore, and I really want Bife to do a video on this and break it down in a smarter way than I can.
Right.
But that is our lore corner for this week.
It is a good one. Like, now it's just like, man,
that's going to be something that's on my mind for a long time.
Do you think this dark future is going to happen? Do you think we're going to witness Ikora and Zavala dying at some point?
At some point, yes. I don't think it'll play out like it does in the dark future, though.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Anna is far more important to the future than we realize right now.
Right.
There's a reason why she's the only one that wasn't killed off on the planets.
Right.
Right. And we've all thought for a long time, like, oh, it's because she's going to make Fellwinter 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or, oh, she's going to become the Hunter Vanguard by default.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Zavala's going to figure out who Crow is, and I think Crow's in the city. I could see him being like, hey, we need a commander. We need a Hunter commander, and you killed Cade in a past life.
Mm-hmm.
We'll forgive that, or I'll forgive that transgression if you agree to take his place.
Mm-hmm. Can he be a Hunter Vanguard and the Speaker at the same time?
We don't know. I mean, the way I'm interpreting this lore is the Order of Speakers is gone. Because, I mean, if Crow is going to be like, well, the Traveler spoke to me, then we have to step up and say that too. I could see, canonically, us becoming the Speaker by the end. If there is a singular Speaker, I could see it being the Guardian, the young wolf, the Slayer of Oryx. Like, we have killed literal gods at this point. There is nobody else who matches up to us in human history at this point.
Right.
Right? And we've done it all in 6 years. What'd y'all do for, like, 1,000 years? Y'all did fuck all, apparently. You killed a couple space dragons, and you built a city. Congratulations.
A crappy city that's made of, like, looks like something that they just threw together. Interesting lore.
I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
Yeah, it's, that's going to do it. I am really excited, dude. Every time we talk about the lore and stuff, it's just like it gets me more excited. You know, I saw a comment, maybe like a month or two ago, that just said, "I wish your show was only a lore show because it's interesting." And I was like,
man,
well, we'll talk about it. But you know, it was like, man, every time we talk about the lore, man, I just get excited for the future of Destiny and how it's going to change, you know, like how the dark future is going to change, if it even, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, so. Well, Josh, I appreciate your time tonight. Remember, you can find Tower Casuals on your podcast service of choice. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review us. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. It's something I want to start pushing, Josh, is getting people to rate and review us on the Apple Podcasts. So if you could do that, that'd be great. You can find the show on my YouTube channel. You can find it on CoreyandHD.com. You can also find it live on twitch.tv/CoreyandHD. Josh, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch as @Josh_Finn with 2 N's. We're playing a lot of Destiny right now, but we're going to be getting back into the Division 2 here.
Man, I've been thinking about re-downloading that for a while.
The Warlords of New York expansion is $8 this week.
Is it? Okay.
I bought it for $30 2 days before it went on sale, so I got punked.
You did. It's okay, Josh. We all do. You can find me at I am CoreyandHD on Twitter and CoreyandHD on Twitch. Like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen to this show. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we love you.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye.